About the enemy's attack on Ukraine's energy sector, which regions are currently without power, the attack on a bookstore in the capital, and the fact that, for the first time, a woman has become the head of the Church of England. It's 4 p.m., and this is TSN Online. I'm Valeria Kovalinska. Welcome. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like this video. Let's get started. A nighttime enemy attack on Ukraine's energy sector. The enemy struck critical infrastructure in the Poltava region. Several missiles hit the regional center at once. Preliminarily, these included Iskanders. Due to the massive attack, gas production had to be suspended, according to DTEK. The region experienced power outages. TSN correspondent Oksana Solodovnik. She will tell us more.
Poltava region began to shudder from powerful explosions as early as the evening. At first, the enemy targeted the region with Shaheds. Then they attacked with missiles, and by morning, swarms of enemy drones once again flew towards cities and villages. Eyewitnesses say that in Poltava alone, they heard more than 30 explosions. According to the regional air force, several missiles attacked the area simultaneously. Preliminarily, these were also Iskanders. They targeted energy facilities, and not only those. In Poltava itself, 17 buildings and an enterprise suffered serious damage. Greenhouses were damaged and windows were blown out in many apartment buildings and in a church. A fragment of a Russian missile fell right in the city center, and explosive ordnance experts were called in to handle it. The trolleybus line was damaged and the road had to be closed. In some places, the power went out and electric transport stopped running. Fragments also fell on a private residence. Miraculously, no one was injured.
I was sleeping, I woke up, something flew onto my temple and shattered the window. What saved her was that her head was covered with a blanket.
Eyewitnesses say they don't remember such a massive attack since the beginning of the full-scale war. Explosions were also heard in a number of other settlements in the region. Residents report that Kropyvnytskyi, Koteliva and Opishnya were also under attack.
The enemy is attacking critical infrastructure, gas infrastructure, in order to leave us without electricity, to freeze us. I want to inform you that we are preparing and have been preparing all summer for blackouts. That's why schools, kindergartens, and the village council are all equipped with solar panels. And even if there are long blackouts, basically, don't worry. We will have electricity.
Near the village of Shishaki, while extinguishing a fire, the enemy struck again. A state emergency service vehicle was damaged, but the rescuers themselves were unharmed. Meanwhile, in several communities, energy facilities, industrial enterprises, and power transmission lines were damaged. In
the Kyiv community, 8,000 residential subscribers and about 30 business subscribers were left without power. We have recorded damage to energy infrastructure facilities. At present, work is underway to restore electricity supply.
Due to the attack, a number of gas production facilities in the Poltava region have halted operations, according to DTEK. Oksana Solodovnik, Alexander Levin, Poltava region, TSN 1+1.
The Russians also struck critical infrastructure in the Sumy region, launching an airstrike on the Voronezh Starostat in the Shostka district and damaging a critical infrastructure facility. As a result, a number of settlements are without power, according to Sumy Oblenergo. Last night, as a result of the attack, the city of Shostka and all the settlements in the community were left without electricity. There are also power outages in the Konotop district. As of now, power outages caused by enemy strikes are being recorded in several regions of Ukraine at once. The most difficult situation is in Sumy and Chernihiv regions, where the damage to energy facilities is the greatest. Due to destruction, the networks are overloaded in Chernihiv region as well. The energy company was forced to introduce scheduled hourly power outages. Currently, only one trolleybus route is operating in the regional center. The others have stopped due to the lack of electricity. Emergency repair work is ongoing, and energy workers are doing everything they can to restore power to consumers as quickly as possible. Residents of other regions are being asked to help by not turning on several high-power electrical appliances at once from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. A new drone attack in Europe. Unidentified unmanned aerial vehicles appeared for the first time over a military base in Belgium. We're talking about 12 UAVs. The Belgian military has launched an investigation. The day before, Munich airport in Germany had to suspend operations due to drones. 17 flights with nearly 3,000 passengers were unable to depart from the airport, and another 15 planes that were supposed to land were redirected to other cities. Law enforcement was unable to detect the drones or even determine their exact number. nor did they catch those who launched the drones. Meanwhile, it has become known that investigations into previous UAV attacks are underway. German investigators are looking into the possibility that a vessel from the Russian Shadow Fleet may be involved. Such a vessel was present in the Baltic at the time of the attack. Earlier, the media reported that drones could have been launched from ships belonging to the Shadow Fleet. This version is currently being investigated in other countries as well. What do you think about these drones in Europe? Be sure to write about it in the comments under this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I'll continue with the TSN broadcast. In Denmark, where drones recently paralyzed airport operations, several high-level summits have taken place. First, EU leaders discussed among themselves how to strengthen their own defense in light of growing threats. In particular, the regular appearance of foreign drones in European skies. As usual, they also discussed aid to Ukraine. The next day, the discussions continued in a broader circle. EU leaders were joined by their counterparts from the UK, Ukraine, Moldova, the Balkan countries, and others. How did the meetings go? And when will the drone wall be built? Our Radio Svoboda correspondent, Zoriana Stepanenko, will tell us.
Foreign drones are being spotted more and more often, both in one and another EU country. A recent example occurred in Germany. Last night, drones paralyzed operations at Munich airport. And in Denmark, which hosted the summits, they recently halted operations at 6 airports. So the leaders met under unprecedented security measures, befitting the current challenges. Allied air defense systems and a complete ban on even civilian drones during the events, while on the agenda were methods of countering other, less harmless drones. These methods are part of the overall strengthening of defense. The Prime Minister of Denmark, during some of the sessions there, said that the bloc is in a state of hybrid war.
I think everyone underestimated just how serious a threat Russia poses. We should view Ukraine as the first line of defense. We are doing a lot, but we need to speed up and scale up our efforts. I would confidently say that by the year 2035, it will undoubtedly be far too late. When we seriously talk about the crucial need for rearming Europe, we absolutely must be able to fully and comprehensively defend ourselves by the year 2030.
The discussion about the so-called drone wall network, which is supposed to detect, intercept, and shoot down devices that enter this area, was meant to be one of the most promising. The European Commission designated the project as a flagship initiative, but it was met with a rather cold reception from the largest economies in Europe. Among the skeptics were Germany and France. The Polish Prime Minister explained this by the competition between industries and the capabilities of developed countries that want to protect their own interests. But according to Tusk, no one doubted the idea itself. In the end, they agreed to keep negotiating. Perhaps the project will be renamed. Work on defense initiatives will continue, and a country with extensive modern military experience, Ukraine, is extending a helping hand to its partners. Ukrainian soldiers who know how to detect and shoot down attack drones are already sharing their expertise, reported Volodymyr Zelensky, and he called on his colleagues in Copenhagen to coordinate efforts and put further pressure on Moscow.
The root of all these problems is the war waged by Russia. Russia still has the resources to continue fighting, and that is wrong. But we know that the 19th package of sanctions against Russia is absolutely necessary. We also need to seriously consider how to truly dismantle the entire Russian trade infrastructure for automobiles. It is precisely this infrastructure that fuels their war machine.
The leaders also discussed the European Commission's idea to grant Ukraine a so-called reparations loan. The amount is 140 billion euros, with frozen Russian assets serving as collateral. Ukraine will repay the loan if Russia pays its reparations. As a result, a number of countries called on the European Commission to further develop the idea. Belgium is particularly opposed, as Russian assets are held in its depositories. It demands that other countries share the risks with it, and also requires legal protection in case of Russian lawsuits.
I already hear from Moscow, if you touch my money, you will feel the consequences forever. We were the only ones who said, fine, now we have a hen that lays huge golden eggs. We can't keep the money for ourselves, we're giving it to Ukraine. Others didn't do this. Let's eat all the hens, not just mine. That will be a KFC moment for Europe.
The Prime Minister of Belgium addressed the countries in whose territories there are also Russian assets in a rather figurative way. Regarding the reparations loan, the Prime Minister of Denmark stated that there are some technical issues that need to be resolved. The Chancellor is optimistic and expects a decision this month at the next EU summit at the end of October. Zoriana Stepanenko, Marek Hajduk, Radio Svoboda, specially for TSN 1+1.
A vessel of the Russian merchant fleet, which had previously been detained by France, has continued its journey. This was reported by the Agence France-Presse and the publication Le Figaro. According to reports, the previously detained captain has apparently returned to the vessel. There have been no official statements about this so far. Although earlier, the French Prime Minister had announced the detention of 2 crew members. The Russian merchant fleet vessel was detained in France at the end of September. Officially, this was because the crew did not respond to the authorities' requests and refused to cooperate. It is precisely on charges of disobeying the authorities that the captain and his first deputy are to appear before a French court in February. At the same time, the media suspect that the vessel may be connected to the launch of drones over Denmark at the end of September. 3,000 people are working to eliminate the consequences of the natural disaster in Odesa. Rescuers from Vinnytsia, Kropyvnytskyi, Mykolaiv, Cherkasy, and Kyiv are helping their colleagues in Odesa. Cadets from 2 universities are working alongside them. The city is gradually coming back to life, electric transport is running again, children have returned to school, and all roads are passable. KTS correspondent Nolana Chernyayeva will tell you more.
A boiler that keeps working despite the house being flooded. This is what brings joy to Odesa and to Serhiy. The man hopes that with it, he'll be able to dry out the house. The first floor is currently uninhabitable. The family had to move to the second floor.
The water was 1.40 meters high. All the furniture on the first floor floated away. Everything was soaked. And all the electrical appliances that were in the kitchen were ruined.
When this neighborhood was being developed, the peculiarities of the landscape weren't taken into account, say local residents. The houses are built on the site of former ravines and lowlands. There has always been a natural path here for water flowing from the hills down to the sea. And during the bad weather, when more than twice the normal amount of precipitation fell, the water carved out its usual path, despite all obstacles.
There was a fence about 3 meters high, and it collapsed. The water accumulated there, reaching the top of the fence. It all collapsed, and a stream of water 2.5 meters high rushed in there. When it started to collapse, I was right there. It started to crack, started to fall, and by the time I ran to the stairs, the water was already in the attic. They were already present there, indeed. It rapidly rose within a few short minutes, truly.
The investigation into the causes and circumstances of the tragedy is ongoing. There are many questions. Why didn't the warning systems work? Why weren't people informed about the seriousness of the danger? Why weren't schools switched to remote learning? After all, they say the weather center warned about the bad weather in advance.
In our initial forecast, we clearly indicated that there would be significant heavy rain during the entire day, and throughout the day, we consistently issued important warnings about strong and potentially extreme weather conditions. Did anyone actually read this crucial warning or not? I honestly don't know.
Another factor in the tragedy, when 10 people died in the city and dozens more were injured, was human carelessness.
Even when people already understood that there was severe flooding, that it was impossible to walk or drive on the roads, they still kept going somewhere. If a person sees that they can't get through a certain section of road, they can always wait it out somewhere. It could be a gas station, it could be a cafe. A person just needs to move to a place where they will be safe.
In the past 3 days, we managed to clear the streets of debris and silt, pump out nearly 1 million cubic meters of water, resume classes in schools, and restart electric public transport. Right now, a city council commission is inspecting the damaged homes. There is already information about 8 severely damaged residences. People are trying to dry out their homes before the next rains come. Meteorologists are forecasting rain at the end of the week, but they emphasize that this time the weather will not be as threatening. Olena Chernyavia, Vansavchenko, Odesa, TSN 1+1.
Attack on a bookstore in Kyiv. Unknown young men blocked the entrance to the establishment and covered the windows with stickers. And this is already the second time this week. The previous evening, men in masks suddenly appeared near one of the most popular bookstores, which is located next to the Arsenalna metro station. First, they blocked the entrance doors. Then they plastered homophobic flyers on the panoramic windows. The bookstore reports on its social media. The young men recorded their actions on camera and posed for photos with the white flag of the far-right organization, Shield of Tradition. Afterwards, they explained their position on their official Telegram page. They claimed that the bookstore promotes degenerate phenomena among adults and children. In particular, the organization is dissatisfied with the literature on the shelves, and they are threatening to shut down the establishment. They already staged a similar action at the beginning of this week. Both incidents are being investigated by the police. For the first time in nearly 1,500 years, a woman has become the head of the Anglican Church. Former nurse Sarah Mullally has been appointed the first female archbishop in history. The 63-year-old former nurse has become the head of a church with a congregation of about 85 million people worldwide. This high-profile appointment has received positive feedback in Britain. However, there are concerns regarding other, more conservative countries that share the Anglican faith. Many believers, for example, live in Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda. These are countries where the appointment of a woman as head of the church may be viewed negatively. Sarah Mullally herself advocates for creating an open and transparent culture in churches, one that allows for differences and encourages discussion. Today is dry, but the weekend will be wet. A cyclone with rain is moving south, according to meteorologists from the Ukryvnytskyi Center. Therefore, over the next 3 days, it will rain especially heavily in Odesa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson regions. But fortunately, it won't be as flooded as at the beginning of this week. After that, the wind will push the rain clouds into the central regions. So, the weekend will be cloudy and rainy in some places. The frost will recede. It will snow only in the high mountains of the Carpathians. The average nighttime temperature in the west, north, and center will fluctuate between +5 and +12 degrees. During the day, it will be between +11 and 17. It will be warmer in the east and south, where temperatures are expected to range from +14 at night to +20 during the day. Natalia Ptuka from the Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center told TSN.
Atmospheric fronts will be alternating all the time. We will be in a zone of low atmospheric pressure. That's why the weather will be humid, but with somewhat higher temperatures than what we have now.
A special operation to rescue a red-listed moose. This story began a few days ago, when a mushroom picker in Rivne region came across an animal stuck in a swamp. The moose couldn't free itself on its own, so a local resident started looking for ways and people to rescue the moose. With the help of special equipment, it was transported to Lviv. Currently, the moose is still in serious condition, but at the shelter for rescued animals, they continue to fight for its life. They are administering IV drips and also removing parasites. Because he lay in the swamp for a long time, he developed maggots. There are also already research results. Specialists say the moose has liver problems and acute renal failure. He is not receiving all the necessary help. A piano concert right on the intercity train. Yevhen Kamara played for passengers on Ukrzaliznytsia. The state railway company posted the pianist and composer at the white grand piano on their social media. The video shows the entire carriage filled with people. Passengers and conductors gathered around the musician with their phones. They listened attentively and filmed his performance and afterwards rewarded him with loud applause. So now everyone knows how Yevhen Kamara transports his white grand piano, added Ukrzaliznytsia. That's all from me for now. Be sure to like and leave comments under this episode on YouTube and also subscribe to our channel. See you next time.